Hello, good night, good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Wilcox, and I am joined here with Alma, Christina, and Katie, and we're going to be talking about how to create an orientation module, or what I like to call a getting started module, but people call them all sorts of things. We'll talk about that in a second. What we're going to do is we're going to create that module in Canvas. I'm going to talk about filling out the syllabus. I'm going to talk about the pages I want to see in the Getting Started module, and privacy policies, technology tools, and support. We're going to talk about creating a Q&A discussion board and an icebreaker discussion board. And so why this is important is on your OSCQR rubric, the very first section is called Course Overview and Information. And so if you follow this video, you are going to ace this first part of the OSCQR rubric. The other caveat I want to put out there is that there's no one right way to do something in an online class. So there's no one way to meet these standards, right? I'm showing you one way. I'm showing you the way I would meet these standards, but you can get creative with most of this and do something different, right? So, for example, number 2 is an orientation or overview is provided for the course overall. I'm going to show you how to make a page that does a course overview, but you could also make a page and put a course orientation video on it, and it would still meet that standard, okay? But I'm giving you one simple way to do this. If you follow along with me, you're going to have no comments or feedback from me on your Getting Started module, unless I say it looks great. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. And you should all see a Canvas page. Alma, do you see a Canvas page that says create a new module in the middle? Awesome, great, thank you, Katie. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to take care of number 1 on the OSCQR rubric, which says course includes a welcome and getting started content. Well, we're going to do that by creating a module. So in case you didn't see my Getting Started with Canvas video, we get started by clicking plus module. This is how you create a module in Canvas, and we're going to give it a name. You can call it a number of things. As you can see, I love getting started. You could also call it course overview or course information and important documents. I don't like that title. Important documents sounds, I don't know, boring. Some people call this module 0. So, you could call it module 0, getting started, or whatever you want to call it, so long as it's clear that this is sort of an orientation module, right? We're going to hit add module. Boom, we've got our module. Now, as you know, in Canvas, when you create something new in Canvas, it comes in as unpublished. To publish this, we need to go over to the right-hand side and click what I call the Ghostbuster symbol. I don't know the real name for it. When we click that, though, it turns into a green check mark. And in Canvas, if it has a green check mark next to it, it is published. So we have published our module 0. Now we're going to create some things in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create several pages for the things that we need to cover to meet the OSCQR standards, right? So one thing we need to do is we're going to hit the plus button, and I'm going to use Canvas pages for this. I love Canvas pages. I highly recommend you use them. I don't know, a course with a bunch of files in it doesn't feel as put together as a course that uses HTML pages. So if you'll notice in my course, everything's in an HTML page except for the course schedule, which I finally broke down and put into Google Docs because I have to update it so often, right? So, but we're going to create a page. So when you're doing a new page, you hit create page in here. And I don't know if you noticed this, we covered this in Getting Started with Canvas, but there's all these different things we want to go to page. At that point, you'll get this screen, and we can say, I want to do campus I'm going to call it school because most of you are K through 12, school statements and policies. And we're going to put a bunch of things on this page that will cover a lot of ground with OSCQR standards. I'm going to add item. I have a new page. It's empty right now, so if we went to it, nothing would be in it. But I'm going to go ahead and make all the pages I want, and then we're going to go back and fill them in, and I'll show you what needs to go on every page. So the next thing I need to do, and this is an important page that should be in every class, and in fact, this is one of the few things that I sort of make everyone do. Even though there are other ways you can meet this, I guess you can make a video, but I always want to see a meet the teacher page, and there's a couple reasons for that. First, we want to begin establishing that instructor presence as soon as possible. And second, I have received many courses where the student has not put their name in it, or they've put in their name hidden at the bottom of their syllabus, which is an odd place to put your name, but it was there. But what's really nice is when your students can go in and immediately know who their teacher is, what you look like, and read a little bit about you. And we're also going to put your contact info on this page. So the other thing I want to see is, and you can do this a couple ways, but an easy way we click the plus button at the top of the module, we go back to create page. And I want to see a page that's all about your technology. So technology, tools, support, and privacy policies. I'm going to knock several things out right here, not just things from standard 1, but we're also going to talk about, this will cover some of the things from the second group of standards, which is course technology and tools, and it also covers stuff about learner support. So we are hitting a bunch of bases on this page. Technology, tools, support, and privacy policies. Again, we're going to fill this out in a minute. What else do I need in here? Oh, we need an overview, right? So I think this is number 2. Not only do you need a course overview, but you need a module overview. You need an overview for each module. So every one of your modules should have a module overview. This one we're going to call, instead of, we could call it module 0 overview or getting started module overview, but I'm going to call it course introduction and overview. And we're going to add an item. And then before we go too much further, I want to show you what a really already developed one looks like. I should have done this at the beginning, but this is a course I used to teach for Clemson University, and we're going to go to modules, and you'll see it has a getting started module in here, and it has all these pieces that we're about to build right now. And in fact, it has way more pieces than you need or even this course needed. So it has a course overview and outline where there's the little welcome message and all the course objectives are in here, and then it tells you what to do for this module. And this one even talks about the course structure and some stuff about navigation. And we're not going to go through this whole thing, but you're going to see that all the things that OSCQR wants to see are in here. So, you know, meet the team. It has my bio in here, and then it also has a course design, my course designer friend, April Pelt. She's amazing in here. It has a discussion board. It has a Q&A forum, which we're going to build. It has how do you navigate Canvas, so it has some learner support in here. It talks about how to get help with technology. So we're going to kind of do our own version of this in our course. I flipped back to my course. One quick thing is when things come into Canvas, you'll notice everything I created comes in at the bottom. So if you need to rearrange the things that are in your module, you can drag and drop things in Canvas anytime you see these 8 dots to the left of an item. When you see these 8 dots, if you hover over them, your cursor will turn into a cross cursor, and you can click your mouse and drag them up. So I want my course introduction and overview to be first. I want my school policies and statements to be last because, let's be honest, a lot of people don't read them. Meet the teacher, I like where that's at. In a second, I will add my syllabus, and I'll probably put the syllabus right under course introduction and overview, but we're not there yet. So before we move on to filling out these pages, I want to add 2 discussion boards. You should have 2 discussion boards in your Getting Started module. So we're going to come back up to the top where it says Module 0. We're going to go all the way over to the right. We're going to hit the plus sign because this is how you add things to a module. And instead of pages, we're going to create these in discussion boards. I know, it's crazy, but we are going to click discussion, and we don't have any yet, so we're going to hit create a topic. And I'm going to call this course Q and A. Now, if you don't think your students will understand course Q&A, you could spell it out, course questions and answers, or you could put something more age appropriate for your students, but something to let them know that this is someplace that they can ask questions and get help. So we're going to hit add item. And to edit any of these, we're going to click on the name of it. So I'm at course Q&A, and then I'm going to come over to the right, and I'm going to find the edit button in the upper right hand corner. So I'm going to click edit, and I see someone has a question. I'm about to answer it, but first let me finish this. And so for this, I have a little pre-developed text that I'm going to copy into here. Now, if this were a real Q&A, I might make this a little bit more detailed. I might talk about what's a good question for them to ask and what's a email me personally kind of question, you know, so I might say something about, if you have a question about your grade, please contact me privately. Or if you have a question about a health concern, please contact me privately. You'll be surprised what people will be put in here. So this is a general statement. I'm going to leave everything as default, and I'm going to, at the bottom, hit save and publish, and boom, we're done with our course Q&A. That took about 2 minutes. It would take you a lot less time if you weren't talking like I was. So I'm going to check the chat. Can the video discussing how the class is set up in Getting Started module count for the Getting Started overview? Yes, it can. It certainly can. Or you can add it to the page I'm going to demonstrate for you. So either way, at some point you do need to discuss what the overarching course objectives are, but you could probably do that on the syllabus. Like I said, there's no one right way to do it. I'm giving you a way, but yes, you could make a video that's a course tour, and that could also count as your advanced technology on display, which is one of the requirements of this course that I don't like the way it's worded. Okay, so going back to our modules, I'm going to go back to modules. I'm going to make one more. I keep having to rearrange where your guys' faces are. I don't know if you can see that. All right, so I'm going to make one more discussion board. I'm going to hit the plus sign at the top of the module again. I'm going to go back down to discussion. I'm going to create a new topic. And this one I'm going to call, let's see. I have a little icebreaker called Top 22 for 2022. So we are going to do that. And there are so many great discussion board ideas out there online. I urge you, search around and find one that you like. You can adopt or adapt someone else's, especially if it's an open educational resource. So now I'm going to click on my discussion board that I just made. It's empty right now. I'm going to go over here to the upper right-hand corner and hit edit. And here I'm going to copy and paste my discussion board. And so it tells them that I want them to share the top 22 facts about them and to add a picture. And then what I would do if I were teaching this course is I would go ahead and I would post in the discussion board and post my icebreaker introduction as an example. And then at some point, you should also prompt them to respond to people. So, you know, please respond to 2 classmates who have something in common with you. And you want to prompt them more than that, or else people won't write anything. So, you know, you need to write 250 words or 100 words to someone talking about how you guys connect, or come up with a better prompt than that. But all right. And so I can make this graded. I can do all kinds of things. So I could make this graded and give it a number of points. But for the purposes of this, I'm going to leave everything at the default. I'm going to hit save and publish. You can hit save and it will remain unpublished if you want to come back and sort of mess around with this and it's not quite ready for prime time. I'm going to hit save and publish. And so now I'm going to go back to modules. We're done with our course Q&A and we're done with our icebreaker, and that covers a lot of great things. But now we need to go back and we need to fill in the rest of our pages, and we need to talk about the syllabus. So we're going to start with the course introduction and overview. Theoretically, every one of your modules should have an overview. In this case, this is going to be a little bit bigger. It's going to be an overview of the course, but there's also going to be a part that's just a module overview. So we're going to click on course introduction and overview. And just like the others, we're going to go over here. We're going to hit edit. And let's see. I already have something written up for this. So I'm going to show you what you might want to make it look like. So over here, for my course introduction, you should have a little brief introduction about what the course is about. So, you know, I mentioned that we're focusing on learning management systems and online tools for communication. I share my course objectives. So if you remember the mapping exercise where we came up with our course objectives and then we broke them down into little module objectives, this is where you put the course objectives, the ones we did with Roman numerals. You don't have to use Roman numerals in here. You don't have to include standards because I don't think students really care. I don't think maybe parents would be interested. I don't know, but definitely add your course objectives. Now, I wrote these course objectives long ago, and I don't want you to judge me because they're way too specific and they're way too detailed, and I don't like them. So these are not great. But they do use Bloom's taxonomy. I will give myself that. So, so it gives a brief introduction. It gives me the course objectives. Theoretically, honestly, I think it should say course objectives. And then we want to make sure that we use the Canvas formatting up here in our rich content editor. That's what this is called. We go up here to where it says paragraph. We want to make this a heading 2. It's a big heading. And we want to make sure this is also a heading 2. So if someone came here with a screen reader, it would say course objectives, getting started. And then they could select which one they wanted to hear more about. All right, so then we have a getting started section down here, and this is what you want them to do in this module. So I want them to read the syllabus. I want them to read Meet the Teacher. I want them to, you know, do the things that this course wanted them to do. Now, we did not create a syllabus quiz. A syllabus quiz is a great way to make sure your students are actually reading the syllabus. I don't know if that's age appropriate for your students. I will say that when I worked at Aiken Technical College and I was the director of e-learning, we had this delightful adjunct professor. His name was Dr. Henry Bartlett, and I will never forget him because in his syllabus quiz, he had a bunch of true, false questions. And one of the questions was, your professor's name is Dr. Fartlett. And of course it wasn't, it was Dr. Bartlett. The answer was false, but that always stuck in my head and I still remember him to this day. So you can make these things quite memorable. If you want to make a syllabus quiz, that's one way to make sure your students have read the syllabus. But you do not have to do that for this project. It's just an idea if you do teach online. So we're going to hit save and publish. And our course introduction and overview is done. Going back to modules. Meet the teacher. This is something I want to see in everyone's class. It does a couple things. 1, it tells me whose class I'm grading. 2, it establishes your teacher presence. 3, it gives students a very quick way to find your contact info, if nothing else. So I want everyone to do a meet the teacher. I know I said there are all kinds of ways to meet these, and there's other ways to do this, but I think meet the teacher is classic and it is a staple, should be in every class. So we're going to go up here, we're going to hit edit as we have with all of these. And I am going to add my instructor bio, which is ridiculously long. You do not have to write anything this long. I need to abbreviate this. I doubt anyone's read the whole thing, but I put this in here. Now, as you can see, I have headings, but they're just bold. They're not an actual heading, and I can tell that because it says paragraph. I can also tell that because I've used Canvas for a long time, and I know when someone's using headings or not. So we're going to make this a heading too. And then I don't know, maybe I would make this in Canvas a heading 3, and sorry, I'm getting really into this considering it's just a demo. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm like that, but there we go. So also these are bold. I know this is just an example, but it's going to drive me crazy because the first one isn't. All right, there we go. So our formatting's done, screen reader friendly. They can read all about me. Another thing I want everyone to do, if possible, is to, let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to find a good place to get rid of the Zoom. Okay, here we go. Is I want to add a photo to this. So I'm going to click in front of the first paragraph under education. And this is important because if you try to put in a photo like behind the education, it comes out super weird. And even if I put it here, it's going to come out super weird. But I'm going to show you a trick to manipulate photos in Canvas so they aren't quite so crazy. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go up here. There's a little tiny icon you probably cannot see from home, but it's a mountain with a sun over it. We're going to click on that. I am going to go to my computer and I'm going to upload an image. I need to move you guys out of the way again. Excuse me. There we go. And then I'm going to get a picture and I'm going to click open. Here is where we make images accessible. So when you add a photo to Canvas, you immediately see an option to do alt text. So I'm going to say image of a brown-haired woman smiling in front of a brick building. That's Clemson University. All right, so we are going to oh, before we go, so this tells people with screen readers what the image is. It tells, so this person, if theoretically I had a visually impaired person, they would know that this image isn't important. It's just a picture of a brown-haired woman smiling. We can also click decorative image, although if we want to be really good, we should just put alt text on all of our images. But you know, you might use a diagram or an image that explains a theoretical framework, and that might be something really important for that person to know. So by letting them know what the images are, they know this isn't important. I could click decorative image and it would let screen readers know, like, hey, this is purely decorative, but best practice is to put alt text in. So I have done that. I'm going to hit submit. Here's a couple things that happen. First, the image comes in super big. So we can click on the image. And in fact, I'm going to make the screen a little bit bigger. When you click on the image, a little blue sort of highlight comes around it. That means the image is selected. At this point, we want to align it to the left. So if we go up to the top to our rich content editor, there is an align button just like you would use for text, but we're going to align right and it's going to move that picture over. And what's nice now is the text is wrapping around the picture. That's really good. You can also move it back left and the text will wrap, but it's going to look really bad. So there's no padding around this image. And so the words bump right up to it and it's not great spacing wise. So right is better. There is a trick to add padding around an image. It is under Canvas resources. under the images file. You can go and look that up. It does involve knowing a little bit about HTML, so I'm not going to cover it right now. So I've added a picture. It's still way too big for my liking. I'm going to drag it smaller. That looks better. I'm going to hit save and publish at the bottom. And now I have a getting started page. It has, oh, you know what? One thing I would have added to this, clicking edit. I'm glad I forgot, so I got to use the edit button. I'm going to come back here and do my name, Dr. Allison Wilcox, and which is exactly what the whole reason for doing this, one of the whole reasons for doing this, and my contact info. So I'll do email. And save. Oh, there's a help button that really gets in the way on Canvas. Okay, there we go. So now we're done. We have the Meet the Teacher page. It has my name, which was one of the big things I wanted it to have, and my contact info. It has a picture, so it starts to let students know what I look like, a little bit about me, who I am, so hopefully they can start sort of getting an idea of who I am and that I'm a real person, not a robot teaching this class. All right. I'm going to pause real quick. Any questions?
I have one.
Christina, go for it.
It may be general. If you want me to talk about it later, I can, but my target audience is will be seventh graders. And so some of my information I'm trying to do the course like I would actually use it.
Yes, great.
And thank you. So some of the things I'm not doing is wordy, as obviously we would do it for a college course or even older students.
Yes.
But because I'm thinking of my target audience, and if it gets too wordy, they're going to stop reading.
I agree.
Is that okay? Will we be deducted?
Here's what you need to do, because this has been a problem before. If something is too wordy, so like school statements and policies, right? Or the privacy policies for the technology, what you could do, hold on, I cannot see the side of my screen. You could come over here and use the 3 buttons, drop down to edit, and then you could at the end say for parents, or you could even do that at the beginning. So, parents.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And that way students know it's optional for them, but if parents are interested in the policies, so for example, we're about to cover privacy policies. I don't think most K through 12 students care about the technology privacy policies, but they might have some parents who want to know how their students' information is going to be used. So, that might be, you might make a for parents page. The syllabus might be for parents because you might be teaching first graders and they're not going to read a syllabus. So anytime you see these standards and you're like, those are so weird, just imagine your audience is the parents at that point.
What about the areas, this really quickly, I don't want to take up too much time, but say like the course overview, I have the video, but just say, to guide them, do this first. Is it okay if that's short, just telling them the steps I would like, just so they will do it? Because I do want the children to do that.
Yeah, and I think that's great. And I've seen people teaching younger, like I had someone do kindergarten, online kindergarten class, and everything was a video because her students couldn't read. So like all the assignment directions were video, all the module overviews were video, and she just did so great. She knocked that out of the park. It was amazing.
Nice. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so that's totally fine. I want you to cater it to your students. I want this to be useful to you. And I want it to be something you can use in your class, even if you're not teaching online. Maybe someone's at home sick and this is a module you give them, to keep up with the class. So
perfect. Thank you.
I'm going to mute you while I continue on, but if you have, but if you have a question, just let me know. We have 2 more things to do in a syllabus and then we'll be done. I know I'm kind of flying through this, but I want to respect your time. You can always watch this video again. I will post it for you. There's also another version of this inside the course. So technology, tools, support, and privacy policies. This one's going to hit multiple things all on one page. Some people like to break it up. That's totally cool. Some people think that's way too long a page. That's fine, but we're going to do it in one page for the sake of time. This is where you're going to share with students what technology you're using, put in some support pieces for it, and then we're going to add on the privacy policies for each of those technologies. So I already have this written up. Let me grab my text. Copying it in here. And then I'm also adding privacy policies. And we're going to talk about this one in a minute. The first thing I want to do is I kind of want to create a hierarchy or make sure all of my headings are correct. So just so you know, the page title is going to come up as a heading 1. That's why there's not an option for it. That's our heading 1. Our next heading should be a heading 2, and that's good. So Flipgrid is also equally as important as Perusal. These are my two third-party technologies I'm using. So I'm going to make that a heading 2. How to use Flipgrid? It comes under Flipgrid, so it's a heading 3. Privacy policies, first of all, let's fix that spelling. And this is Grammarly that's coming up, I think. So that is wonderful if you have a Grammarly plugin. You get that for free as a student. Okay, heading 2, privacy policies. Okay, so in this class, I used to use Perusal, which you guys are familiar with. And I used to use, sorry, I'm getting some junky stuff formatting in here. Okay, used to use Perusal and Flipgrid. So I have a little section for both. I tell them what Perusal is. I talk about the things they can do. They can ask a question, they can answer other questions, etc. So, and then I have, you know, a link to Perusal and the course code for Perusal. So if you're using a third-party tool and it requires a code, this could be the page where you share the code. And what's great about this is if you share it in one place, then when you create, if you ever use it again, you only have to update the code in one place. So that's not something I normally touch on, but when we design our courses, we want to think about making them evergreen, which means that you can reuse it over and over without making a ton of revisions. This is something I learned the hard way when I first started teaching in 2002. I would put fall 22 or fall 2002 everywhere in my course. You know, I would brand it, I would put little logos. Well, guess what? The next spring semester, I had to go and find that, and I would never found all those dates. Same thing with putting due dates and things. It's really hard to find all those due dates and update them. So you want to minimize where you put things you're going to have to alter for the next semester. So this is an example of I have a little document at the beginning of the semester where I go in and remind myself, hey, you need to update the Perusal code, you need to update the Flipgrid code, you need to update all the dates, you know. So, okay. Underneath each of these, I have links to how to use this. So I have a getting started with Flipgrid for students. And you don't have to make this yourself. I'm using one that Flipgrid developed and it's on Vimeo, and that's great. Make sure you are finding the tutorials that are student specific. So not a teacher's tutorial, but one that your students would watch and understand how to use the technology. And normally I like to embed videos. So I normally use YouTube videos because they embed quite nicely. The last thing we need to do on this page is to put privacy policies. And a lot of people miss this one. So it's really simple, but it's not intuitive. First, you list all the technology you're using. So everyone's using Canvas. I was using Flipgrid. It's now called Flip. I need to update this, and Perusal. And so all we have to do is find their policies and link them here. We're not going to copy and paste their privacy policies because that would be a long document. We're going to open up a new tab. We're going to say Canvas privacy policy. Sometimes it's called a security statement. And here it is, product privacy, or wait, let's look at them. This one says policies privacy. This one says Canvas privacy. Let's look at them both. This is the, okay. This would probably work. Let's make sure the other one isn't better. What we want is this one looks good. This one looks very K through 12-ish. Do they talk about K through 12? I'm gonna, here, product privacy policy. I guess the first one was the one we wanted. Okay, so we're gonna grab this, but we wanna know how they're using their information. Like, where is it being stored? What's being done with it? Is it being sold? Those are the sorts of things we wanna know. So we're gonna highlight Canvas. We're gonna go up here to link, and it looks like a chain in the rich content editor. I'm gonna click that. I'm gonna put the link in there. I'm gonna hit done. And I would do that for each of my technologies. So then I would type in Flip privacy policy. I might type in Flipgrid privacy policy, and then Perusal privacy policy, and I would link those here as well. That's all you have to do to meet standard 14 in OSCQR, but I think it's one that isn't super intuitive, but it's an easy one to finish. You could do this in 5 minutes easily. All right, so we're going to save and publish this. And we have taken care of we've given students an overview of what technology we're using. Hopefully we have linked tutorial videos in here. If they've never used either of these, they could watch that video. I try to find short, succinct videos that will give them the skills that I want them to use. So if I'm only using it for a very simplistic reason, then they don't need to know every single feature in Flipgrid, right? They just need to know how to post and reply. So, all right. I'm going to go back to modules. We have one more thing to do, and that is the school statements and policies. And then we have the syllabus. So we're going to hit edit. And so if you have a policy and procedures manual at your school, go in there and pull the policies and procedures that that OSCQR wants, right? And so I'm going to copy and paste some in here. Now, the standards you need to look at are probably number 5, relevant campus policies on plagiarism, computer use, filing grievances, and accommodating disabilities. I realize that a lot of you are K through 12. There might not be a policy on filing grievances. You might not let your students file grievances. So as with anything on this OSCQR rubric, if it doesn't apply to you, ignore it. So, but you should have an accommodating disabilities policy at your school. I certainly hope so. So go find it and plug it in here. It may be very wordy. So, you know, as Christina brought up, this might be something you direct more towards parents in terms of reading level. So take a look at this. Oh, like, for example, here's an example of something you might not have in K through 12. Standard 10 says course provides contact information for the instructor. Yes, we got that. We put it on the meet the teacher. We're also going to put it in the syllabus. Department and program. You might not have like a department and program the way someone in higher ed would have a department and program. Like you might not have a department chair. I don't know. When my mom was a teacher, she did not. So I don't know how it's working nowadays, but if it isn't applicable, don't do it. So copy and paste the policies and procedures that are relevant. Make sure they have the headings as we discussed, and save and publish. And if you at the bottom you want to link to your entire school policy manual, you can do that, but don't copy the whole policy manual in here. Pull out the ones that are you know, applicable for OSCQR and for an online course. So like if there's a face-to-face attendance policy, don't put that in there. It's not the same. Okay, our very last thing we need to talk about is the syllabus, and I save this for last. If you know how to make a syllabus and you want to leave now, that's great, but from kind of what I've gathered from seeing other people's submissions is that maybe a lot of you don't use syllabi, or maybe at your school a syllabus is like a 1 or 2 page document that's very brief and you know, pretty simple. Unfortunately, for the purposes of this class, that will not be the case. Let me see if I can find the chat. I'm going to put a link in here. It's in the course as well. This is a link to the Oscar-inspired syllabus template. So if you give me a moment, I'm going to open it up and I'm going to bring it over so you can see it. If you follow this template, it's going to take care of a lot of things for you. All right. However, it is involved. But what's nice about it is it has, you just fill it out. So instructor name, and it tells you what standard you're covering, 1.10, right? And anywhere they have directions, you just remove the text. So anything that's in brackets, after you've done it, remove that text, okay? Your phone number, you might not want to share your phone number, especially if you don't have an office phone. So, you know, you can take that out. You can include an email. So just fill this out. It tells you right next to each of these what Oscar standards you're doing. One thing that people a lot of times who don't use the syllabus get feedback on is there has to be some place in the course where it states that it's fully online. Look, this is already included. If you use the syllabus, you've met standard 1.7. So just go through this and you know, fill it out. Your learning objectives. So this would be your course objectives. You would go back to that mapping statement and put in your course objectives. You can say none if you don't have any co or prerequisites, but you can go through, if they have a textbook, you put it under course materials. Technology requirements you might want to include, or if you've put the support people on your technology page, you can leave it there. But if you go through, this thing is long. I'm going to go ahead and warn you. This is a very long document. Again, delete the things that don't count. So if you're not using journals in your class, delete journals. If you're not using quizzes and tests, you can delete that. You can select which one of those describes what you're doing. But this is a template. If you follow it, you're going to cover a lot of standards, like I said. So, you know, you're getting things outside of the first set of standards. You're getting into, you know, participant expectations. That's in 5 and 6. So this I would highly recommend using. The other cool thing about it is it's printable. So you take care of the standard about having a printable syllabus. That's 1.4. You're done. So you can make a copy of this syllabus. You can add it as a file or a link to your course. I would recommend adding it as a file and making it preview. But I'm not going to go through the entire syllabus. You can fill it out. If there's something in there that doesn't apply to K through 12, you can take that out. And that, my friends, I think is all I wanted to say about the Getting Started module. That was a lot. I know I hit you with a lot of information. Thank you for hanging in here for 50 minutes. I really appreciate it. If you have gotten what you needed from this class, you know, I know we're all tired. Feel free to leave if you want to. I'm going to hang around and take questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. This recording will be up in probably by tomorrow. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just see if anyone has any questions, or if they want to say goodbye, or if you just want to do an Irish goodbye, that's okay too.
What's an Irish goodbye?
That's when you leave without saying goodbye. It's a good way to get out of a party. So instead of saying goodbye to everyone and taking like 15 minutes, you just sort of like leave. But yeah, if you need to take an Irish goodbye, that's totally fine.
Okay.
I hope no one's Irish. I'm part Irish, so I hope that's not a terrible thing to say.
It's not.
Okay.
Sure, it's okay.
Okay, good. I have
goodbye.
approval. She's
Don't
giving
have
me
any
a pass.
questions.
Have you
I don't
ever done
have
an
any
Irish goodbye?
questions.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Okay. Thank you for coming, everyone. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Christina, do you have any questions?
I do, but I will probably ask when you quit recording.
Okay. Alma, do you have any questions? And am I saying your name right?
Yeah, no questions. I just gotta go back and edit my course and my syllabus.
Yeah, the syllabus is I think people find it challenging, but just use that, make it simple. Use that template, fill it out. Anything you've already created, copy and paste over there where it's appropriate, you know. It's the syllabus is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Bye. Good night.
Bye. Thank you for showing up, and thank you for having your video on. It made it really nice.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Katrina, do you have a question?
Hey, just one quick question. Where exactly did you want us to plot this syllabus? Because I
Okay,
was looking at the different headings.
that's a great question. Let me share my screen and I'll show you how I would do it. Again, this is just how Dr. Wilcox would do it. This isn't how you have to do it. If it were me, oh man, did I close that syllabus? I think I did. Okay, well, I've got one over here. So, can you see it?
I can say it.
Okay, if it were me, I would download it. So, there it is, download. And I think I'd download it as a PDF. Why not? So long as it's accessible, which it should be. All
Mhm.
right, and then I would come over into modules and I would go up here to plus. I would do file and I would find the
Oh.
file. So I would create a file and then I would choose a file. And then I would go to downloads. I would find the updated syllabus. I would open it. And I would add item. Now, here's the thing. It comes in with this terrible file name. I don't like that. I'm going to go to edit. I'm going to go to this and I'm just going to call it syllabus, or I might call it like, you know, EDF 8200 syllabus or whatever it is. Well, I'll just call it syllabus. And then remember, we can drag and drop things. So I would drag it up here. And then when I click on it, it should theoretically show me the syllabus. Sometimes the first time you look at something in Canvas, it takes a second. Oh, there it is. And so it previews. I like this because it's still inside Canvas. And this is me. This is not a, you know, universal design thing, but I like to keep my students in Canvas as much as possible. And if I'm sending them outside of Canvas, I like to give them instructions. So that's why in my course, there's a page for perusal. I kind of introduce what the perusal thing is, and then I give you a link to perusal. I find it really jarring when I'm going through the modules, there's this next button, you know, so in Canvas, you're going along through modules and you're reading, and then all of a sudden I'm in a new page and I'm like, oh, okay, what does the teacher want me to do on this page? That's why I tend not to link things. So by adding the file, you keep them in Canvas, you keep that next button there. I'm sometimes afraid when I send people away from the LMS that they will get distracted, you know? Once you're outside the LMS, well, like, what about that thing you wanted to buy? Or how much would it cost to get a flight to here? You know, like.
Gotcha. So now my question is, because it made me think about now, one, are you going to do another one that goes over the actual assignments and tasks? Because it made me think what you just mentioned made me think about, because some of the resources that I'm using, for example, are things like BrainPop or ReadWorks, where the students have to go outside of Canvas in order to access.
Yeah, I wanted to do a Canvas pages class, but I scheduled it for Halloween and I was like, that is crazy. So I canceled it. But there is a Canvas Q&A coming up next Monday, and I would be happy to demonstrate how to integrate third-party tools without just giving a link. So yeah, I'll be happy to cover that next Monday. I have covered it in a previous video, but it was like a totally random video, and I don't know if it's recorded where I put it or what part of the video it's in. So maybe I'll try and make like a standalone tutorial about using Canvas pages to integrate third-party tools. And it's not a big deal if you just link out to a Nearpod or something. But one of the pieces of feedback I'll give you is, hey, think about using Canvas pages to, create a little bit about the assignment and tell students why you're sending them to a web page or why you're sending them to Nearpod. And also tell them how they're going to be graded on it. So you send a student out to Nearpod or something. How do you know they've done it? Are you going to tell them to take a screenshot of whatever and submit it to an assignment? Like, how do you know? Or maybe it's a video you want them to watch and there's no way to know if they did it, but you can tell them, hey, go watch this video. There's going to be a quiz on it. And so they know they have to watch the video because they are going to get graded on it. I hate to say it, but people typically won't do something unless there's some kind of external motivator, like a grade attached to it. Unless
Okay,
it's a
because
MOOC.
that's part of the reason.
Yeah.
Right. So that's because I have also ed puzzles. And the reason why I put the ed puzzles instead of just a YouTube video was because it can pause in between and have them answer questions. And it does give me a grade for it.
Good. Yeah, then that's great. Then yeah, that's a really good option.
Okay. Okay. I think that's the one big thing other than figuring out where to put the syllabus. Can you go back to because I
Yeah,
wanted
sure.
to take a screenshot of, I like the order of those now with the syllabus added to it.
Okay. And
Oh.
it's kind of just this is up to you as the designer, but for me it's
Mhm.
logical. The overview should always come first. So I just graded someone's in 7491 and I don't know why, but her course, like every module overview was like the second thing and the first thing was always a discussion board, and I was like, it was so uniform from module to module. I was like, does she have a design reason for starting with a discussion board? But to me, I would put this here and the first thing would be do the discussion board, like, but yeah, your overviews should always come first. But after that, it's kind of, I always put them in the order of importance to me. So I want them to read the syllabus, if nothing else. If they only read the syllabus, I'll be happy. Even though they won't get a grade for this. Meet the teacher, I think is the third most important or the second most important. Because overview, I think, has the default first status. And then these, they're not as important to me. It's more like FYI for you guys to know, right? Course Q&A, again, that's something you may use or you may not. But
now,
then
I came in late when you talked about the course Q&A. It was already up there. What exactly is that?
this is recorded, so I'm going to post it for you. All it is,
okay, then I'll go back.
yeah, all it is a place where people can ask questions and
Okay.
answer questions. And you've seen this in probably every online course you've taken here at West Georgia. So, but yeah, do go back and watch the first however many minutes that you missed. And thank you for coming and thank you for
Thank you.
interacting. And I'm not rushing you. If you have more questions, I'm here all night. Well, I'm here till about 8 when I'll get really sleepy, and then 9 I will pass out. So,
No, you're good. Thank you. Bye.
okay. Thank you for coming. Okay, Christina, you want me to stop recording?
If everyone's finished with their questions.
Okay. All right. Oh, wait, I just stopped sharing. Let me stop recording as well. Hold on.